Boom! Salutations and Happy New Year's to everyone. We're very close to New Year's. Coupled to the fact I'll probably release this on New Year's. I want to say thank you to everybody on Patreon that's kept me going here, because I didn't know if I'd be doing any more of these videos. Kind of thought maybe I'd come to an end, but things keep coming up that need to be addressed, so I will keep addressing those things. This one here is something a little bit different that I think needs to really be much more illumination being brought to, and much more attention being brought to, concerning the Olmecs and the Mars connection. Something we don't hear about a lot. And you know, in fact, the Olmecs seem like they don't get talked about a whole lot in the contact scenario a lot. Seeing on Ancient Aliens every now and again they're mentioned, but really, as far as there's a lot of question about them. Now, the Olmecs were approximately from 1400 to from 1200 to 400 BC, and that they were mostly in Mexico, and they were responsible for a lot of like the Mayan connection and the Aztecs. They're like the part of the civilization there that went on into Mesoamerica, and these individuals of the Olmecs were known to be great engineers. They left these great statues, which you've seen, and there's a lot of kind of debate about what their origin was, if it was African related, Polynesian, but regardless, they look melanated and ethnic, no way around that, all right? And they have these helmets, and they're also well known for these masks. They made these masks out of jade and out of greenstone jade, and different masks of several types. And I think that, very interesting. And then bringing that forward too is, once again, their helmets they always have on that are seen all the time, and no one knows what those helmets were for, and no one's ever found any of these helmets. And what I want to do is kind of draw this and a connection with the Olmecs. I've heard things that different ways, the things that they came from Centaurus and all different places in space that they might have come from. But one, I want to definitely put a connection with them as melanated beings, which is Mars. Alright, I want to tell you where I'm drawing that connection at. We're going to do a reference to a book that I came across long ago called the Cydonia Codex. Alright, and there's another book that they've written, same two gentlemen, called the Martian Codex. And it's really a genius piece of work. Alright, what they're doing is specifying and talking about in detail the surface of Mars, and actually the relics there, being the face itself and the Cydonia complex, where the pyramid structures, and this appears to be a city complex there on Mars, and several of the other ruins and things that appear to be there, the anomalies there. And what they're doing is drawing a connection with that and the Syros Temple in Belize, which has a lot of Olmec stuff in it, all right? And they're making drawings through what's called the Jaguar mask and also the Venus mask. And I put pictures of that up. And it's quite fascinating in that when looking at actually the face of Mars itself, all right, it has a helmet on it. You can see that. And then later they sent something else there, NASA sent something else there, and they said that, oh, it was really nothing there, and it was just eroded stuff looking, and the pictures have obviously been doctored and tampered with, all right? I'm not buying that at all. And there's something called the Sakoth mound that also has a look to the distorted one that they showed, which is interesting too unto itself. So I put pictures of all that up, all right? Anyway, going forward again. Concerning this codex, also something they talked about was this glass glass worm type of city. And so there's all these pictures and things, and also a Mason sign there as well. So I put pictures of all that up, all right? But when dealing with the Belize temple and the Syros temple, that also dealt with the Olmecs. There's a bunch of Olmec stuff there. So you've got the same type of a headdress on the Mars face that you have on the Olmec beings. All right, so I'm gonna look over my notes here to make sure I get everything, so I don't get too excited and address this correctly. Concerning Mars, and two things. Okay, one is that keeps coming up a lot is an insectoid species there. A couple of different insectoid species that are underground. And I'm bringing this up because I had done a show with Tony Rodriguez. I was on his show, but it's only on his Patreon, it was. And we wound up talking about Mars in that show, and he had talked about the insectoid species he was aware of there. And he gave me some pictures, so I'll put them up on here as well. You'll see them in there. Cool. And that kind of gives you kind of a basis of one he said was a hostile species. Now, going in a different direction with this, but correlating this, I've had a client that reported having a past life. I'm doing a past life regression with them, and they're not there for this, but they start describing the incarnation before this one being on Mars. Okay? Even the past life between lives anyway, but it was, and they were describing being underground and having a humanoid insectoid type of existence. And that's something, and then going into my friend that I do her show, Jessica Jones, the Cryptid Huntress, she has spoke on her show about having past lives of what feels like being on Mars and underground. So this kind of keeps coming up. And the old quote is, where there's smoke, there's fire. All right. So another thing concerning Mars and melanated people that is not talked about enough, all right, is two ways. One thing is there's these ladies, actually from my home city, but the UFO twins, Shirlene Wallace, all right, and her sister, they did a book called From the Motherland to the Mothership, or I'll put a picture of it up. But the point being that they are making the claim they've had experience of being on Mars, and there were black people on Mars, okay, and it was mostly predominantly black. So that's one thing. Another thing I'll put up too, which is the big-headed scientist, which is really Dr. Malachi York. All I'll say is that interesting information the brother gives. I don't agree with all of it for certain reasons I won't go into, but yet I like to look at all information and not throw the baby out with the bathwater, yada yada. But anyway, one thing he had brought up, which is these beings from Tau Ceti that are smaller type of melanated gray type, but that they're, I'll put a picture of it up, you can get the link there also, but that they're from Tau Ceti, but they went to Mars, and they colonized Mars, and it really, they're what the Martian, Marvin the Martian is actually based off of, is these beings from Tau Ceti that were on Mars. and he did a whole video about that. So I think that's just another thing where it starts bringing up melanated on Mars. And yes, I'm bringing this up because we don't hear about any type of melanated extraterrestrials, Hurley, or melanated black aliens, ethnic aliens all around. We just only hear about these tall whites a lot and the grays and things. We need to hear more about the melanated and the ones to make this full circle if we're going to be a type 1 civilization like we saw in Star Trek. So that's why I bring this up, bring people's attention to it, and this is valid things to look at. So when looking at the these masks that are represented in the Codex, all right, and these the Jotware mask, the Venus mask, and seeing this how they're being compared to these things on Mars and the face and everything else, this shows good chance that the Olmecs were there and that there was a melanated civilization there full of engineering and also all the things they're known for. I think also rubber as well. So food for thought, all right? Quickly, that hits everything. I think just gives you things to look at for yourself here. Look into these. I'll put some images up and everything, but do the research for yourself. I want to thank everybody. Please hit that bell, hit the like, and I might even do a part 2 about this sometime, going further with it. But when the Mayans were saying that their ancestors came from space, believe them. That can be proven now. That can be proven by these things here. We really start pulling the evidence together and the clues together. So thank you very much. Please hit the bell, and subscribe and share this video. Peace.